I'd like to call to order the regular board meeting of the Park Ridge Park District. The date is September 21st, 2023. Time is 7 o'clock. May we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will we please have a roll call?
Commissioner Bendy? Here. Commissioner Bowe?
Here.
Commissioner Grau?
Here.
Commissioner Halting?
Here.
Commissioner Leduc?
Here.
Commissioner Matza?
Here.
Commissioner Tunnel?
Here. Does anyone have anything to amend, add, or delete to an item to the current agenda? Seeing none, is there any public comment on non-agenda items? Seeing none. I move to adjourn to closed session for the purpose of to discuss probable or imminent litigation per 2C11. We will reconvene to the regular board meeting to adjourn the meeting.
A second.
Thank you. May we have a roll call?
Commissioner Bowe?
Yes.
Commissioner Grau?
Yes.
Commissioner Halting?
Yes.
Commissioner Leduc?
Yes.
Commissioner Matza?
Yes.
Commissioner Bendy? Yes. Commissioner Tunnel?
Yes.
We're adjourned. 1 second.
Aye, staff.
So many different things going on.
Okay, we're recording.
I'd like to reconvene the regular board meeting. The time is now 7:22. I'd like to move to approve the regular board meeting minutes of Thursday, August 17th, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. As far as a report of the park officials for present, I have nothing at this time, other than a discussion about changing the times for the October 19th, 2023 and November 16th regular board meetings for budget season. I moved to change the starting times for the regular board meeting on Thursday, October 19th, 2023 from 6 to 7. Yes. And the regular board meeting on Thursday, November 16th, 2023 from 7 to 6.
Second.
Can we have a roll call?
Discussion.
Discussion? I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, we had originally the October meeting starting at 6 because we had planned on starting budget discussion then, but we've shifted both of those meetings to November. So the 6 o'clock, we always start at 6 o'clock just because they're regular meetings anyway, and so we need the time. And so we're not here till the meeting.
Is the next efficiency one December?
But that's a separate than remember, that's a whole separate than the board agenda. That's a separate committee. But that is in October, to answer your question.
Okay.
After the first
I was
meeting of
just
October.
like, which one is the
Yeah.
6:30 and which
Right,
one
I
is
know,
the
it's-
6?
because that's not treated as a board meeting. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a separate committee.
I'm just trying to
Get your calendar.
get my head turned on there. Okay.
Any further discussions? Will we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Halting?
Yes.
Commissioner Leduc?
Yes.
Commissioner Matza?
Yes.
Commissioner Bendy? Yes. Commissioner Bowe?
Yes.
Commissioner Grau?
Yes.
Commissioner Tunnel?
Yes. Anything to report from our attorney?
Just that today we received good news from the Public Access Counselor that staff properly handled a FOIA request for items that people are not entitled to get. We stood our ground and the PAC agreed with us. So kudos to staff for doing what they needed to do with the incident and then handling it since then.
And by staff, he means Mary Ann. Again, I can't take credit, but it is good news.
Well, that's yes, Mary Ann was primary, but the fact is that the person who filled out the Paderma incident report did it exactly as they were trained to do, and because they did it as they were trained to do, and then we were able to use those procedures to say, this is for our risk management purposes, not for people to be able to then tack onto it and try and drum up some claim. So the fact was, although Mary Ann did all the hard work in responding to the Public Access Counselor, it was the frontline staff that properly executed, properly how to do the report, that made the difference as well.
Nice job.
I don't think they work for us anymore. It was a young teenage boy who filled out an incident.
But
report
we
that
drill in training
Yep.
these, the filling out of the forms, give them examples of what not to put on the forms is the most important thing. I think it just,
That and what you do with the form.
right,
Follow the
Exactly.
procedures, and that made a difference.
you get a lot of them, and you just never know which ones. So, yes.
Thank you for that good news report. Appreciate it. And then Executive Director Montcastle.
Thank you. I have just a few things. Wanted to let the board know that we did get another, if you remember, we had a gentleman here requesting a defibrillator in the park, in Hinckley Park. We heard from him again, and then I also heard from somebody about having one out at Woodland Park, because it's since pickleball courts. So, our stance has been, just to refresh your memory on it, we're concerned with putting them in a couple places, and then should we have them everywhere? Not having them staffed, not having, a lot of people that have them out in the parks, not everyone, has concession stands, and, staff there. There are park districts that do not, they have them in parks. So, we are going to, and then the other thing is the vandalism, and then the daily checking, there's a checking, somebody's got to always check the defibrillator. But I did tell this gentleman and the other one from the resident from the request from Hinckley that we are going to look at it again as a staff, and perhaps we're going to get cost. We have costs on the defibrillators. That's not the big cost. It's the wiring to connect it to the emergency services, and then the long term, right? The replacement, and then the if we put them in all the parks, which I would not suggest. The small parks with Mary Q. Ding, for example, that, we don't have sports and things. So I think that it's, I think it's a good idea, of course, the defibrillators, that's not the question. But I asked our safety and risk manager to get a price on perhaps doing a couple of them in our bigger parks as pilots, and see how it goes. And so we are doing that, and we'll put that in with the budget is the plan, and have a discussion with board at that time about it. And I've told both of them that, I responded to both of them with that answer. Budget, working on, starting a lot of meetings. Staff has been meeting. So I'm starting to get into the budget meetings with staff at this point. So I appreciate all the work to this point. We've gotten some more feedback and more information. Thank you for those that gave us input on the efficiency report. And I came up with some more things. So we've been working on it. I think we're going to have a very good place by the next meeting. But what we'll do is we'll bring the committee a report with changes, since the last time. And we'll get that out to the committee, hopefully by the end of next week is our goal. A lot of meetings next week, 3 to be exact, at the city. So every night I will be there at all 3, and April and Terry will also be at a couple of those meetings where applicable, and then White will be there to do the major presentations, but we'll be there to answer questions. So you are welcome to join us. We believe they're all starting at 7, but there might be one that starts at 6:30. We'll let you know of that. Parents maybe at 6:30. We're not sure, but we'll know that probably by Friday. They usually put out their packets. But there's Tuesday is planning and zoning. Appearances on Wednesday, and Thursday is zoning.
CBA,
ZBA, zoning, yeah.
Board of Appeals, zoning Board of Appeals.
The first one is site plan review with planning and zoning.
Yeah.
That appearance commission, and then zoning board of appeals, because we have a few things that we're asking for relief from that we're not meeting their code.
Okay, got it. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Like
Like it's a
property
variance.
setbacks.
It's
The variance, yes. The height of the building, the height of the nets, the parking setback, those are the 3, I think, bigger. Yeah.
That makes sense.
So those are next week. And I think in general, that's all I have. Any questions on general items?
I'm happy about the defibrillators.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get a little more information to make sure marketing and public relations, we do have we'll take any questions, but we have an approval of the posting of promotional materials by the Kalo Foundation. This is something that is a policy that we bring the board to approve any of these postings. And it falls under our policy as approval.
I move to approve the posting of Kalo Foundation's Historic Places in Park Ridge open house flyer at the Centennial Fitness Center.
Second.
And discussion. I saw it in the packet, which appreciate it. I know we've seen this
Mhm.
similar in the past. So.
Yep.
And will they be on the approved list now, or do they still have to come back every time?
As long as there's not substantial changes, I'm
Mhm.
allowed to approve it.
Any further discussion?
Commissioner Ledoux?
Yes.
Commissioner Metza?
Yes.
Commissioner Bendy?
Yes.
Commissioner Bowe?
Yes.
Commissioner Grau?
Yes.
Commissioner Hulting?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Thank you. And then human resources, if there's any questions, be happy to answer. I do want to point out that under compliance and risk on page 13, the great effort of the Local Records Act. It's always it's a very big project for HR and for the whole district, but that they made major strides and also, their efforts to reduce paper in the future.
Sounds like there might be some storage available, Terry.
Any further questions?
I did have one question on the report. The 4 people that were injured, were they in the accident, the vehicle accident, or was it separate?
I'd have to get back to you on that.
Okay.
Oh, 4 employee injuries in one vehicle. I'm thinking those are 2 separate things.
Okay.
But I'll confirm that.
I got a little nervous when I read it, so I was just hoping
Yeah,
everybody
because
was
there weren't
okay.
4 employees in that truck, so it must be
Okay.
those 2. So.
Everybody's okay though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, they are.
Good.
They were all uncomfortable. I've had a few other staff that have had injured fingers and things like that since then, separately, so, which probably accounts for that, but.
Got it. I was just worried about him. So.
No, everybody's okay. That's all I have to report.
Awesome. Moving along.
I just want to say it's nice to hear what the safety manager is doing. So thanks for including that.
Mm.
Yeah, she's been very, very busy.
Thank you, President Tunnel, and I'll turn it over to Superintendent Larson.
Hello. The finance report starts on page 14. I just wanted to highlight a few things before I ask for questions in the finance and accounting area. The second bullet point is about recreation, and fees and admissions increased 18% in program fees, 23% when compared to prior year. And it was kind of interesting because I looked over the entire summer season, and that was pretty consistent each month, which everything's kind of interesting to me right now because I don't have a lot of experience. So I thought that was really interesting that it stayed consistent throughout the whole summer. Also, while the pool passes and the fitness center memberships drove the increase, year-to-date daily fees also increased quite a bit. $47,000 with $44,000 in daily fees due to the pool. So we had an amazing pool season this year. And then the variance I wanted to highlight for program fees, almost 900,000 positive variance compared to prior year. And while we've talked about in the last few meetings the main drivers of that, I do like to look for the kind of pleasant surprises. And one was teen camps, because teens don't want to camp. And yet we managed to do really well this year compared to last year. And it was also neat to see the activity center special events have a positive variance. Those are really fun invoices and purchasing card receipts to pay because they go on all these amazing adventures. So I'm always happy to see that that's doing so well. And then the other thing I wanted to highlight in this area is I made some notations of the delay in property taxes. And why that's skewing things a little bit right now and what it would be if we would have received what we had budgeted. I'll continue to do that each month. And certainly if you have any other questions or would like to see something a little differently until we get those property taxes, don't hesitate to let me know. But you can see that's what's causing quite a bit of variance. I have one little teaser for next month. Commissioner Mattson and I talked about this already, but we did have started to see some of the solar credits on 3 of our accounts. I was going to do a little analysis next month when we've got them all. There's 3 accounts that are just a month behind. So by next month, we will be able to tell you what we're receiving. And it's really great to see those credits on there. It's exciting. So those are directly on the ComEd bills. So. Any questions on finance and accounting?
I'll just say I was not surprised to see the teen camps have a positive variance because I feel like a lot of teens had lots of unstructured time during the pandemic, and now everybody's like, get the hell out of my house and go to camp. I mean, I have a 10 and 12-year-old, and they had a very unstructured summer, and it's not going to be unstructured next summer. I'm putting them in camp.
Teen camp.
Yeah. They need, yeah. So I have a feeling my kids are maybe a little younger than a lot of those that were in there, but I have a feeling I empathize with maybe where that boost is coming from.
Yeah.
So, and I appreciate your passion for finding surprises in the data. So that's fun.
Thank you.
I do have a question about the cash position report. Are we there yet or no?
Oh, sure. Yeah, this is all finance.
Okay,
Yep,
okay.
we're kind of in a new world.
Right,
We're
so
merging.
we moved 1,642 plus from investments to sit where?
So right now that is just in our PMA cash account. So that just happened because of maturities. And I've started talking with PMA about what to do with that. So this is the first time this has really happened for me. And so what I wanted to do first is make sure I sort of have an investment cash flow so I know when we need to cover our debt service payments and things like that. So that right now it's just sitting there, but it's up to my next steps are to kind of understand when we can move it and making sure it's, we've got what we need cash wise. And then with the delay of property taxes too, I want to be a little more cautious.
Right.
But then work with them to figure out, okay, I'm comfortable leaving this in cash. Here's what we want to invest, and then working with them on next steps.
Right. And then it looks like in November you're going to have a bunch come due.
Yes. Yep. So I'll have to get that plan figured out before November so
Okay.
we can respond to that.
Great.
Thanks for providing the information about the data destruction. You can't be too careful these days about online security and protecting people's privacy. So it's a small detail, but it's certainly an important one. So thanks for providing that packet.
You're welcome. I'd like to just mention a few things for IT. One is that we did get Beyond the Bell up and running. So we provide a lot of IT support for them as they're in the schools and phones and things like that. So our team was able to do that. And then Mike, our new support specialist, started. And what's really exciting about having him, other than he's great, is that he's going to focus on RecTrack, our recreation software. And that's going to be really helpful across the district to have someone who can kind of look at, it's very decentralized now, and what, each location kind of has a different way of doing everything. It's not wrong. It's just everyone's got their own way of doing things. And I think it'll be really helpful to have someone who can kind of help us gather that information, best practices, and it'll be really helpful in finance too, because we do quite a bit in RecTrack, trying to, reconcile and things like that. So the more things, the more that Mike is helping kind of pull everything together, it's going to really benefit us in finance too. So we're excited to have him.
say I tried unsuccessfully 3 times to sign up for the Bio Blitz, and I finally quit. So I don't know if that's rec track or what, but I can go to the community center, but I can't go to Wildwood. So I don't know. I'll try again.
Okay.
I
You can
signed up okay.
Good for you. I'm older than you are.
I think we've all learned our tricks, even me at home, right? When, when I'm Karen in the real life, in real life, trying to do stuff, doing it on that side. So
It's a show.
Karen in real life.
Ooh.
Wild.
Minimum, it's a pod.
Yeah. It's really not that exciting, but dream on. Okay. Anything else, finance, IT related?
Good stuff.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Superintendent Larson.
Mhm.
I move to approve the payment vouchers in the total amount of $747,229.11.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions about the payment vouchers for last month? No? Okay. Mary Beth, you want to do roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Bendy? Yes. Commissioner Bowe?
Yes.
Commissioner Grau?
Yes.
Commissioner Halting?
Yes.
Commissioner Leduc?
Yes.
Commissioner Massa?
Yes.
Commissioner Tunnell?
Yes.
Thank you very much. And I believe that concludes finance. I will turn it over to Commissioner Leduc.
Great. And so just before I turn it over to Superintendent Armour, I just want to give a little shout out to Wildwood as Jennifer in real life. I recently reached out to Wildwood for help because I knew that with dealing with my dad's passing that I didn't have the wherewithal to like put together a Girl Scout meeting. And so I reached out to Wildwood, and not only did they were they like, yeah, we can do, this badge, but then when the rainy weather on that day occurred, they pivoted and did a different one and just did a lovely program for the girls. So I was just very impressed with how accommodating and adaptive they were.
Great, thank you for sharing. I'll be sure to pass that along. I'm writing it down so I don't forget. Thank you. So a few highlights from the written report: the last movie in the park and and at the pool wrapped up the summer with great attendance and weather. There was one with not so great weather at the pool, so they were excited to have a bigger crowd. The preschool program started, so they kicked off a great school year. Athletics had high participation, which included many of the post-camp offerings. We had some of the one-week camps and things sprinkled in there. The rink summer programs ended in August with participation similar to the past 2 years, but the freestyle participation definitely saw an increase, which is directly related to our skating director, so I want to point that out. Wildwood's overall participation was lower, but that was because we closed the facility to prepare for the animals moving and the facility moving over. Progress continues on accommodating the wait list at Beyond the Bell, and as mentioned in the HR report, mini job fair resulted in a few new hires as well, so we're pleased.
Is it solely staff, do you, or is it still space too?
Is it what?
Is it solely staff? Because it looks like we're higher in every school except for one. Then
Yeah, it really depends. I asked them, like, one of them just has one on the wait list, and it really just depends on the exact moment that the report is run. So they're like, even an hour later, we'll look and the numbers
but
shift.
the space, are we
And
hitting space? Are we limited by space? Yes.
Oh, no, we're not limited by space yet. We're a little tight in a few, but the ones with the bigger wait lists are.
I thought that would be part of it. What a bummer.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Well, and we're also, what I'm told is we're experiencing a lot of people on wait lists not calling back. So they most likely have found other care. So some of those wait list participants that we're showing might actually not need the care anymore. So, they keep moving on to the next person.
Yeah.
How long does it take to do a week and then they get pulled off? Is there like a rule to that, or?
No. Well, at some point they do pull them off, but they give them a certain amount of time to respond.
Okay.
And then they email and call call again before, so.
Sure.
A lot of phone calls and emails, but they want to make sure they reach somebody at least, or give them the opportunity to get the spot. Throughout the report, August still saw many program offerings, but the majority of the programs begin in September, so you'll see some higher numbers on next month's report. The STAR program also had a very active month. Some of those bills that Karen was talking about, the adventure camp was a full week of activities, so they had a great time and picnic to end the summer. The fitness center's shutdown project was in August, and the members were very appreciative of the extra available options during this time. And as you can see, membership is slightly slower compared to July, which is generally what we see during the shutdown month and just with the back to school. And September, I'm already hearing, is definitely seeing an increase. Outdoor season is officially, pool season is officially over, and we had a final audit passing of 3 out of 5 stars, so that was great. We show the total swim lesson enrollment and past totals listed. The daily admission totals for the season will be in the next report. So we've seen some impressive numbers there. And of course, Labor Day was so warm, it was just packed that entire weekend. So the aquatics team did an amazing job just keeping as much as they could open, even through the busiest weekend that was really hot to end. A few additional items. Amy Kopecki, our youth and special events supervisor, resigned. She's moving out of state with her new husband. That happened very quickly. So we quickly posted the position, and we completed second round interviews today. So we're hopeful to make an offer soon to not have that position vacant for too long. The entire team has diligently been working on the budgets, as already mentioned, and I've been meeting regularly with the recreation managers on the operations budgets. I'm also working on hopefully finalizing the Beyond the Bell intergovernmental agreement with District 64. And last but not least, don't forget to come out to Trucktoberfest on Saturday, Hodges Park, noon to 9. I'd be happy to answer any questions, any additional questions on the report.
I do want to tack on here at the end because April mentioned Beyond the Bell. So it's a night for shout-outs, right? Diane, April, and Gail, there's a new law called Faith's Law, which concerns anybody employed by the school district or a contractor of the school district that's next to children. What kind of HR background checks are required? There is, as one can imagine, a huge dispute as to whether a park district and an IGA is a contractor that needs to do beyond the background checks that are needed beyond what we all do already as a park district. And in typical school district kind of fashion, it's blowing up as an issue right as Beyond the Bell gets ready to go, right? And staff handled it with aplomb, and we're on, and everybody's up and running, and everybody's happy. Now, then, I'm sure plenty of times to pop the aspirin down the road that are yet to come, because everybody's trying to figure out what the hell this law means in some ways. But I just wanted to say, all the park districts that had confronted these issues with their partner school districts, your staff, bad for my business model, but good for you, took care of it quite frankly, quite efficiently.
Great.
Are there additional background checks, or like what is
There are. There are.
And D64 asked us to do.
We, right now, we're cooperating where we don't believe we're a contractor, and it's our program, and so we're in their space, though.
Yeah.
And that's the question.
Yeah.
It's our program, our people, we're in their space next to their kids. And ISBE was asked this direct question, and they gave the most mercurial answer in history, Illinois State Board of Education, which was, well, these are the influences, like a law school professor's answer. Yes, we all agree, those are the factors to be considered, and not a definitive answer. So we'll figure it out. But the good news is the program's up and running because your staff worked it out with their staff, true across the Park school system, and especially around here.
Nice job.
Glad to hear we're getting along with the schools.
Was the mini job fair for Beyond the Bell at a high school, or was it just, like, where did you have it?
No, it was at the fitness center.
I was mildly amused, like a week ago, I saw some, like, mother drop off her teenage daughter and, like, barely rolled to a stop and opened the door, and the teenage girl got out, obviously to work at Beyond the Bell, so it's good, we got some teenagers working after school.
Have you had a teenage daughter yet? That'll be really understandable.
I don't have a teenage daughter.
Even teenage
Just
sons.
walking to pick
Oh, I have a
up
teenage son. I'll be ready to push him out the door in a couple years, like, when he's old enough to work.
Get to work.
And I'm fine with that. He knows. All right, thank you very much, Superintendent Armour. And I think seeing no further comments, I'll pass it on to Buildings and Grounds and Commissioner Bendy.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Leduc. Okay, on to Buildings and Grounds. Superintendent Wolf, tell us what you got.
Thank you. My report begins on page 37. There's a lot of things, a lot of projects going on. As April also mentioned, the outdoor pool season is over, and that's always an exciting time for my team because it's a very busy season. So we're excited to have that winding down. A lot of capital projects moving on, some moving along well, some always delays and permits. It seems to be the flavor now of all capital projects. But I do have a bit of good news. Just as of this afternoon, we do have both Main Park MWRD project as well as Hinckley Park MWRD permitting for both of those heading to the desk for signature. So we've resolved all the problems. They're passing it along to the supervisor for the signature. That means it could be tomorrow or it could be 2 weeks. You don't know how long it takes them to do the signature, but we're done with the conversations and negotiations and the discussions that go into securing said permit, which is where the headaches and things come in. So
Congratulations.
thank you. So now we are still, for Main Park, we're still looking at and wondering when we're going to get the equipment. We've been told that it'll be sometime in October, but they've not given us a time in October. So that'll be kind of the next step. We did have communication with the contractor at late August, and they had identified that if we had the permit at the end of September, that they would be ready to start in like mid-October, second week of October. So we're following up with them today, late today. We did not hear back from them. So we're just working to confirm that. Our architect said that they have been held up or a little bit delayed finishing up some other projects. So hopefully that doesn't have an impact on these things, but we're kind of chasing all those things down right now. So hopefully we'll see some movement, but that's what's going on with those two projects. But Centennial Fitness Center indoor pool renovation work, the duct work was completed. We're excited about that. We were, all kind of, some of us were kind of thinking about the fact that the ones in the lobby had collapsed underneath. And so we're kind of anxious to get that project done and over with. And so we're happy that that's been successfully completed. Northeast Park is moving along. Out there, 531 Forest View is moving along. The contractor has definitely had some challenges with getting some subcontractors in to do some of the work. They had intended on self-performing a bit more of the work, realizing though that they wanted to contract out or needed to contract out some of the work and are having some challenges with doing that. But what I have to say, and I've continued to say that, and Jennifer's noticed as well as Maggie from FGMR Architects, is that they are not cutting corners, and we're really happy with the quality of the work that they're doing. For example, because they're getting assessed liquidated damages right now on a daily basis, but they went in, they painted the walls, and the next day they were in there skim coating over the walls that they just painted because they didn't quite like the way that they looked. So, I mean, it's great because they're concerning themselves with the quality. So they're not rushing through, cutting the corners and saying, let's just hurry up and slap this together to get it done. So I don't like the delays. We're working with them, and we're working with the rec team to talk about, what this means for, that space and their needs for it in the future months. So we're continuing to see that project move forward. They're anticipating still to have the majority of it completed towards the end of next week, but as the days and time drags on and we haven't seen it, and they're still trying to get their lighting fixtures delivered is kind of one of the big hangups. I get skeptical about that, but we're continuing to meet with them and talk with them daily and pushing them, and we are seeing progress for sure. So that's moving forward as well. I think that's it. I did also just want to just call out and thank four-person Kramer for his efforts. Kind of, just out of the blue, we got a call to make a run out to Naperville to grab a bus and swap out during the middle of a program, and the fact that he didn't even flinch and just was on the road and just let me know he was heading out there. He had to take care of it. I thought was pretty impressive. We've been really happy with how he took care of that. And the fact that he had this, into the shop, replaced, repaired, and turned around within just a couple of days so that I could go back out for another program, I was actually really impressed with, and something that I was pretty proud to have happening within our department. So he is newer, yeah. He's been here.
He's a mechanic.
Yeah, he's our fleet four-person, our mechanic. He's been here, I guess, a little over a year now already. Yeah. Yeah, I think it was May of 2022 that he started with. You lose track of these things now, so, but yeah, so, but yeah, I'd be happy to answer any other questions anybody has on anything else in the report or not in the report. Otherwise,
Thank you.
Oh, I was going to say, I was just happy to see there was no vandalism for the recent report. So hopefully
knock knock.
the improved cameras that we had to pay for, and the fact that some of the past perpetrators were actually caught, like hopefully that will have a deterrent effect.
Yeah,
Continue to have one.
I mean, I think it's always a combination of a lot of different things. It's that, and I also think that our police force here in town have really been a great partner for us in the Park District and had a great presence. And I think that's really helped out for us, and the kids are back in school. So I think there's a combination of a lot of things, but I do think the police presence in our parks has been very helpful as of late. So.
Yeah, I mean, especially because if you look at that range of the dates, for the first couple of weeks, the kids were still out of school.
Yes.
And
Fair.
at the point of summer where they're extra bored.
Yes.
But I mean, you also cut down trees and bushes and
Yeah.
a lot of proactive work, so it's
sure.
paid off. That's
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
for now. Right?
Yep. Very good.
Terry, I like the support of the youth commission and the volleyball. I don't think people understand the amount of hours you guys put into that. What's entailed in being involved in getting ready for an event like that?
Well, it just when we saw that that event was going to be there, when we looked at the courts and the condition, the grass starts to grow into the edges of the volleyball court, and staff started, working towards cleaning that up, and they found some edges and started working towards, and it just starts to snowball after a while, and they kind of identified we need to make this right. Let's put the time in, and that by the time it was a day and a half of the entire grounds crew out there. It just added up, but it took everybody. They made it work, and it looked great.
I bet it looks great.
So it does. Actually, I got a compliment from a gentleman, Gordon, that I hear from frequently about there, who reminds me of a few areas that maybe not as perfect as it can be, but he did follow up with a compliment afterwards, which I took very much to heart and was very proud to get. So it was good. So. No, it's someone different, just a user, a frequenter of who really likes to play volleyball, and I hear from him, often hey, I don't think those have been rototilled in a little while, and hey, have you guys rototilling that every week, right? Oh, we missed last week. Oh, get out there, Gordon called. so it was nice to hear from him, the positive. So
I suspect someone, and I don't think it's your staff, needs to look at the community garden plots, because I can see one of them with about 6 foot tall weeds, and I don't think it's corn.
And
it's not sunflowers.
in the
so.
plots, yeah.
Yeah, last year I reminded them a bunch of times. This year it wasn't too bad, but I think that we have to look at that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's almost time to close it down. So,
Yep.
Thank you for the sustainability report too. That's great.
Yep. You're welcome.
So I'm a second year travel soccer mother now, so I view a lot of turf. And I'll say that our fields are in so much better shape than most of the other natural turf fields. A lot of times we play on fake turf in other places, but the places where there's natural turf, like ours are like far and away. Like so I want to compliment you and your grounds crew on
Thank you.
the turf, because now it's something that I really like. I go to some other place and I'm like, this looks terrible, and my husband kind of looks at me like I'm a crazy person. And I now look at infill on turf.
Yeah.
They had like the green stuff. My husband is just like, oh my God, she's a monster. But anyway, I wanted to compliment you on the turf. 'Cause
Thank you.
now I look at a lot of turf
I will certainly.
every Saturday.
Yeah, I've been doing this for years.
Oh, you do.
Playground.
Is this something that happens?
Garbage.
You just
Jack gets pictures like when I'm on vacation and hey, how about this?
like
Not turf, but
not other things. Anyway,
lots of other things.
I wanted to.
I'm sure that's what they're gonna miss the most.
We're gonna start sending you pictures.
I go to parks on vacation too.
It's hard to not go to a place.
My husband's just like, what's wrong with you?
Thank you. I will
Looking turf.
share that
And
with
I
the
know
staff.
it's a lot of work
It is.
to make natural turf look good.
Did you start?
So-
I know.
I took a picture of a bench
Yeah, it's just a disease.
Welcome.
Park district affliction.
I know. Everybody gets a lot of pictures.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Superintendent Wolf. All right, on to policy, Commissioner Grau. No? I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Very sorry. Oh, sorry. Capital discussion, my bad.
We're going to start a capital discussion, and I'm just going to start out, what page is it? 42 is the financial projections. So I'm just going to briefly go over what we changed from last time on this page, and then Terry's going to take over again. So in 2023, we had an estimated transfer from operating funds of $400,000, which you can see is pretty consistent about what we estimate every year going forward. We felt comfortable increasing that to $800,000. So I wanted to let you know that changed. Just to give you some perspective, I looked over kind of, again, because this is all new to me, I looked over what the average is from 2015 to 2022, and it averaged about 526,000 per year. There's some years, like last year, we had over $1 million where it really spiked up, and that makes sense if you think of the COVID story, right? We really came back last year. We had, we were still budgeting very conservatively. So I wanted to let you know that. And then as you look at 24 and 25, some things to keep in mind as we're talking about this is that how I was thinking of them is almost together in a way, because Oakton is really going to cross both those years and the effects of revenue. Construction starts in 1 year and ends in another. So we kind of have to keep in mind that it's not just next year, it's the year after. So I'm just kind of asking you to kind of keep that in mind as you're thinking about things also. And then as Terry will go through the list, there's also still some to be determined items. So, everyone's, because I know I do this, right? Our eyes just go to the bottom line. But remember, there are some pieces still that Terry and his team are still researching. Does anyone have any questions about the financial piece before Terry kind of starts going into the detail about what's changed since last? Okay, great. Take it away.
All right, so we're gonna flip you back a page or two here, back to page 40. It's the kind of the spreadsheet, a little colorful. It's got some highlighted in yellow, some red font and black font, and then a couple of lines that are now highlighted in orange. And so really, we're just going to focus on some of the changes here from the last meeting. And as you can see, we've got a column here. The first column on the top is identified as 8/17/23. That was what we presented and we shared at the last meeting. And then the 9/21/23 is what where we're at right now with these numbers. And as you can see, we filled in some of the to be determines, but not all of them. The items that are highlighted in orange are new line items that have showed up on this list that as we were going through, we still had, time for staff to bring to us new capital items. And so those are some newer things that had shown up on here. And then as a reminder, if they're highlighted, if they're in red font, there's something that they were either new to the capital list, this year, like as we were coming into that last meeting, or that number had significantly changed, from what it was projected to be going into the year. So just kind of a way to keep track of it. And then, as a reminder, again, the items that are highlighted in yellow are tied to a grant. So we have, really no flexibility in eliminating those. And really, we have to keep track on most of that stuff with the time frame that we've identified for the most part. So just a few of the things there. Obviously, you got those complex signs in the copier. You can see what the items are that were added to the list, and that were different from last time. Trying to see. Sorry, there was one that was larger that was removed. And I'm trying to remember if I did that. Yes. And so one larger thing that had shifted off that I just want to highlight, because I guess I didn't really highlight it well, but you'll see the fuel storage tanks shifted from 300,000 to 50,000 currently. It's not that we have found that it's much cheaper to do. It's just that we determined that we don't need to do the replacement until 2025. And so that what we're suggesting is that we just need to start maybe some planning efforts next year. And so we've reserved just $50,000. But if you were to look at this in a longer time frame, what you'll see is in 2025, we've got then a larger amount of money to actually do the replacement. So I think that would be just like one that I would want to highlight.
Have you talked to the city about that?
We have, and where they were at with the budget process right now, they weren't interested. They didn't feel like we could make a commitment right now. And so, which is fine, this gives us that time anyway, because we don't have to replace until 2025. So that's good. We've teed up the conversation, and I agree with you, and that's okay, because we don't need to replace it until 2025. So we'll continue that discussion, and we'll have the money budgeted. Should we need to start planning it, we can go down that road. So.
So if there's any questions on the new items or any input from the commissioners at this time that you have something
Oh.
you want us to consider for looking into to add to the list?
I think there was one other thing that I did want to highlight and point out, and that was solar. And so in the previous version, we had identified roof replacement for the metal portions of the roof at the activity center. They are still in really good shape and have a lot of life left in them. We've had a chance to have our Lauren, our sustainability coordinator, pick up the work that we looked at for solar at the activity center last year. And as we identified going into capital, there were a number of uncertainties that myself and Sandra just couldn't quite wrap our hands around and understand some of the credits and things like that. She's had a chance to dive into that with the group that we were working with, to the point where she's come back to us with a number and a process and a cost that we're comfortable that with about that money that we had for the roof replacement that we don't feel like we needed to do. We feel like we can do a coating on that roof to make sure that we're getting a good 20-year life extended warranty on it, and then bring solar onto the roof. Now, we're trying to decide if having the solar on that portion of the roof makes the most sense or not, but we're still looking at having solar up on that roof. And so you'll see that we've included a line item for solar panels on the roof within some of that money. So that's where the reason is for some of that shift. We're going to be pursuing that. So we're still working out some of the details of, how that works out, how that makes sense. Part of the issue is that coating would be the same coating that we had at Main Park, and we're not sure that's exactly the best look for that roof over there having that bright white on all that metal. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. So we just want to kind of chase that down first. So, yep. So,
Terry, I got a chance to go ice skating over at the ice arena there, and it occurred to me that I have a sunroom that actually has great skylights in it. Well, there's also a ton of great skylights over at the ice arena there too. But what I've found is that the R value of those are terrible.
Yes.
It's almost like just opening the window and letting the heat go.
right.
Is there? I just wanted to put it on your radar. That is there a plan for potentially making the skylights a little bit more energy efficient or anything along those lines?
Not currently in that Oakton project, and that's something we could look at when we get around to replacing that roof, which is not part of that project because that roof was replaced in 2010 or 2011. It's right around when I started here, so it's still a few years down the road, but it's certainly something we can look at and consider.
Okay.
Yeah. There's also and we could always look to see what kind of efficiencies there are to enhance the efficiencies of skylights versus eliminating them, because we do have requirements to bring in outdoor light in a space like that.
Right. There's no replacement for a good skylight.
Right.
Just it's one of those things that it's
Like
a lot
how
of
can
people
we
never
do better?
understand how skylights are so energy deficient.
Yeah. Yeah, the R value of glass is not good, generally speaking. So, thank you.
The listing under Centennial Park, the park complex signs,
Mhm.
which signs? Sorry, I'm like, which ones?
So when we changed the name in 2016, we put up a lot of temporary signage. So we want to kind of address that finally. There's a sign by Centennial Fitness Center. None of the signs were actually even footed in concrete because we really thought it was going to be very temporary. And now they're all pretty beat up. And we don't have a park sign for Centennial Park either. So we just want like a wooden park sign on the corner. And then the one along Western for the activity center actually just has plastic over it. And then the building signs and then raised lettering.
Like the big one out front. Like
No, we,
vintage. The
that's,
vintage one.
that's a problem.
You wait
So-
long enough, it'll come back.
Our discussion was just kind of let it be and live until it dies. Because we know we can't really replace something that big without a lot of variances. And that generates also that talk about electronic signage too, which currently isn't allowed by the city.
Yeah.
So it's better than nothing. So that's why we thought you leave it up until it
On the electronic.
falls down, rusts out. But it's the facility signage. We did. The marquee does work still. It is still effective. You know, people see it. We got applicants for BTB out of it. So does something.
I don't even notice it. Like it's just like scenery to me.
Now that we talked about it, you'll pay
Maybe I
attention.
drive by it too much. I'm just like. Anyway, thanks.
I had a question on the picnic shelter. So if we were to look at testing the defibrillators there, we would look at the electrical in addition to that amount, just to.
Yeah. So, and I guess, tacking on to that, as I recalled when we looked at this previously, one of the other things that we had to consider, I think we have to consider with that, is those have to be temperature controlled boxes and things like that too. So, because otherwise you have challenges with the way that the contactors work and the battery's life, and they do. Yeah, they have them, but they have special boxes. So that's why you've got to have the electric and all the different things so that works. So.
But I assume we already have electrical.
Oh, we definitely have electrical going out there.
It's just like a line item, like whatever.
Yeah, if that's.
If they do the research to see how much it would be.
Yeah, if that's a spot that made sense, then certainly.
That would cover a lot of areas, like with.
It would be a good central location.
done the project at Northeast, but we said, let's look at this before to make sure there's no city ordinance that's gonna get in our way with this. And let's look at what the noise, what the readings are now. So we have something to compare it to, once the courts are open.
So that's a noise study, like
Yes.
people go, okay.
Yeah, and we've already conducted the study at Northeast Park.
Can you give me any more information on the Hodges Park, the paving and the landscaping and benches and all that? Anything further on that?
I mean, we identified,
Yeah.
what the cost of that project was, which is that number that we had talked about. And
Mhm.
just since the last meeting, we've put the dollar amount in there so that,
Yeah.
should we feel like we want to move forward with that, we could.
Right, and then are you, are you doing brick or are you
It
cementing?
would be
or-
brick.
It will be, and a little bit of landscaping and,
It would, yeah, so it would match like the rest of the brick out there and similar
Uh-huh.
to the other side where how the
where it's
benches are set
engraved?
up.
Oh,
Mhm.
that, okay.
Yeah, not necessarily the engraved brick, but
No.
like the bricks that are around the fountain, so that
Yeah.
circle would be
Mhm.
mimicked, and we would
Nice.
definitely look to improve the landscaping there, because it's,
Okay, and then you'll be selling benches?
we would, yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
And when do you think that would, you talk about, or when would that be going out to people or whatever, organizations or?
Well, I'm not sure, I mean, the
No.
first step is we'd have to approve the budget, and then we'd work through the timeframes of it.
But it looks, yeah.
Yeah, and we were just put it in there for discussion, so.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
That's probably something Friends could help with, right?
Usually when we post about the ones at Hodges, they
They're
sell pretty quickly.
fast. Yeah. I think the last round went almost immediately, like,
Within a week.
yeah.
But we won the one in Hinckley as well, right?
Those are the pavers.
Yeah.
I have to say, this is the least glamorous capital list I've seen.
We've been very successful as a district to have a lot of projects and things over the years, but so we're also in a position where we need to be very conscious of repair and replacement of our existing amenities or thinking about retiring them. So we're repairing and replacing. So
And I said a similar comment, and then Terry's like, but yeah, look at, we've got Hinckley and South Park. which are
Yes.
two very large projects.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So thank you. If there's no more questions, if you think of anything else, you can always reach out to me in between our next meetings.
That's it? Okay. Now on to policy with Commissioner Brow.
I'm sorry, I have no policies
Okay.
to bring up, so we will pass it to intergovernmental. Commissioner Holton.
The group of residents near Northwest Park continues to advocate for increased safety at that crosswalk. They copy my park district email and on their emails to the broader group, so they're keeping me in the loop. They continue to ask for better signage. The crosswalk signs are like, if you ever go up there, they're like not where the crosswalk is. Like the signs that have like the people and the arrow are just because of how the intersection is oriented at a diagonal. It's really hard, I think, as a driver to know that the crosswalk is here. So they do not seem to be letting up. So we'll see what happens with that. I just wanted to let you know that their advocacy continues.
Walking across the street to get to the.
They emailed me last week and said, there are park district activities at that park. And I was like, yes, there's football games and baseball games there, presumably through affiliates. I didn't know if there was other programming, April, at Northwest that's like not through affiliates.
There's a playground there.
There's a
There's
playground
green
there.
space there.
I didn't know if there was like paid programming there, like there is at Northeast. I didn't think so, but I know I'd have to look in the catalog, which I have not had time to do. But
Well, I listened also, I was at that meeting, and I stayed for that portion of it.
Yeah.
I think that there's a couple things that I would point out, is that it is, thank you. It's not, it's not our property that they're talking about. I understand that they're going to our property. I would caution to get involved with this, because this could come up all over town. Because there, and that was one thing that was brought up by, I can't remember her, but that you can point out several places around town that are on busy roads, Hinckley Park.
Yeah.
um,
That should be
you
addressed
know,
too.
And this is another governmental body, right? This is their issue at this point, and for us to oppose that is not something that I would suggest at this point. I don't think it hurts to keep apprised of what's going on, but that's just my opinion at this point.
I mean, to be fair, this impacts a lot of our parks, and like Cindy said, it's Hinckley, it's South Park, it's where we are right now. So I understand that, oh, if we make it better, there was a council person, alder person who said that, or no, actually it was Sarah Mitchell said, well, if we make it better here, that might mean we have to make it better in other places. And I'm like, yes, that might have to happen. But I mean, I'm probably in the undecided range for advocacy, you know, as a board. I do think it affects us, but it also affects, it's a community-wide problem. And it's not just areas near the park. So I'm keeping an eye on it, and I also acknowledge that I have a pre-existing strong interest in letting people walk and bike around the city safely that came before I got on this board. But I'm gonna see how it progresses. A place where we may want to weigh in, and I don't know where this is at, is they're supposed to be working on eventually finishing the comp plan, the city's comprehensive plan. There's a transportation chapter on the draft that they made pre-COVID that had a strong emphasis on pedestrian safety. The person who wrote that chapter is no longer with the city. He's now the head of the planning department in Des Plaines, because they're smart in Des Plaines and hire good people for their planning departments. So I'm keeping an eye on it, and it may make sense to just generally, when the comp plan is moving forward, to comment then, like, we support the city more strategically addressing this issue because it affects our park. So like at a bigger, more overarching thing. So I'm keeping an eye on it. I think it's important. I do think it's a park district issue. This keeps people from letting their kids go alone to parks. My kid rides his bike to Main Park, and I'll tell you, the first time he did it, I'm not thrilled about him crossing B Road. You know,
It's not a good situation.
it's just
saying that.
I mean,
right?
I cross my fingers all the time.
There's busy roads.
So I do think this is something that impacts parents letting their kids out to play, including in our parks. So I'll keep an eye on it.
Right.
I'm always thinking about it, of course, but yeah. That's all I have for intergovernmental. Though to be fair, I'm sure there are many other things probably that could fall into this bucket.
Anything new on the farm?
Yeah, good question.
I heard from the president of the board, they're hoping to close by the end of the month. They've assumed a lot of cleanup for the owner. So the owner was not able to get their side of the work done. So they've been very patient with the owner and just said, okay, just give it to us how it is and we'll clean it out. So.
I mean, the communication I had with them was once I closed that they would be in a communication. I did tell him of a site that I heard of independently about companies that'll come in and, you know, with farm equipment and take it and auction it off. And so, yeah.
I'm good. I will pass it back for communications and correspondence.
Is there any new business? I move to adjourn the meeting of the Board of Park Commissioners.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? And we conclude this meeting.
You can't oppose when you make the.
You're super soft.